While we're getting some folks in here, I had a moment the other night where first of all, my whole day was sort of built around like getting 2 hours in the evening to finally write some fucking music. What's up, guys? Thanks for swinging through. I'm talking about being nicer to yourself or being nicer to myself. If you're a guitarist, songwriter, God, we can be awful to ourselves. We're going to do a song tutorial, Certainty by Big Thief, in just a second, but just waiting for some folks to shuffle in. And in the meantime, I'm having a podium moment about being nicer to yourself if you're an artist. But yeah, the whole day I was like, I'm going to write tonight, and I'm going to have 2 hours to just really dig in and get some work done on a song. And the time rolled around. I was here in this basement studio. I got dim the lights. I got all romantic with myself. It's just like I've got the ambiance, and this is going to be a sick writing session. And I pounded the pavement for 2 hours till midnight. I got nothing, and it sucked. And that is like sort of my nightmare scenario of just like you sit down to write, you think you're going to have an awesome session, and you don't always get a creative nugget that comes out of it. You don't always get an idea. And to me, I've always struggled with that pain or the fear of that pain. And it hit me real hard that night when I didn't get any good tunes. And I don't know if you felt like that at all. Hey, from Germany, what's up? If you ever felt that way, that like you put yourself under like an unreasonable amount of pressure to deliver on your own creativity every time you sit down, just, I've been there. But that night, yeah, you always feel like that. Yeah, well, if you have felt like that, just take it easy on yourself. I kind of think of it as like an old shitty faucet. You got to run the water for a while to get that crappy water out before the clear water comes out. And that's the way I feel about writing and creativity. So you just got to sit through those sessions that kind of hurt a little bit, and you'll eventually get to the good stuff. So name on the line, last request, pull the car over to find some rest, saying I love you, need to lie here, need to leave, living in the dead of make-believe, saying I owe you, crooked as a crow, gnawing on dawn, a shadow from the grass in the dirt on the lawn, why do I string you along? My certainty is wild and grieving. For you I am a child, believing you lay beside me, sleeping on a plane in the future. All right, that is Certainty by Big Thief, one of my favorite tunes by them. And I just want to go through that song and just talk about the chords that are being used, because they're all really simple chords, and they're just combined in a way that feels really great, almost as if you wrote it yourself. And I want to talk about the chord steps, because that's a really cool concept, and it can really help you unlock songwriting for yourself if you dive into like what are the chord steps that are being used here. So Anthony, what do you say there? For me, I might feel like I wrote something awesome, but later I listen back or play it back and it sucks ass. Yeah, you're your own worst critic. We all are our own worst critics for sure. So that's pretty brutal. I go through that a lot. Okay, so this tune, first verse, we've got name on the line, last request, pull the car over to find some rest. All right, so we got a G chord. We're in the key of G. hear how that kind of feels like home base? Like when you want to figure out what key you're in, you can usually trust your ear and think about what chord feels like it's at rest, like it's the cornerstone of the entire thing. That note to me, it just sounds that way. And if that isn't super apparent to you just yet, it's all good. You can practice that and get better at that, and it will get better in time. But just to let you know, we're in the key of G. They played in the key of A. Adrienne plays at capoed up fret 2. I believe she's still using the same chord shapes that I'm going to teach. Still like a G chord shape, just capoed up 2. But that's a little too high for me to sing, and even this is, but I don't want to tune my guitar down. So, but the first chord shape, we got a G. Name on the line, then to C. Last request, hold the card. Back to G. Over and find some rest. Again, G, then to C. G, then to E minor. Alright, so not even talking about the strumming just yet, but really I want to spend tonight, I just had a couple minutes before I got some other things to get to. I just wanted to do like this flash live little thing. And thanks to everybody for coming in and swinging through. So I just wanted to talk about the chords. So we've got a G chord, that's our 1 chord. And so 1 chord, I mean, in the key of G, you can build, or in any key, you can build chords off of each step of the scale. And each scale has 7 steps in it. And the G chord in the key of G is the chord that you would build off of the first step of that scale. So we call it the 1 chord. So it's the G, then to C, which would be the 4th chord in the G scale. So you've got, in the G scale, you've got G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. Again, so really 7 chords. So G, A, B, C. C is the 4 chord. So we've got 1 in the G chord, 4 chord is the C, then we're back to G, is the 1 chord, then to E minor, which is the 6 chord. Alright, so anybody just joining us, we are breaking down Big Thief Certainty and talking about the chord steps. So again, we've got G is the 1, C is the 4, G is the 1, E minor is the 6. And then we're going to a D, which is the 5 chord, G, A, B, C, D. Saying I love you. Then we're going to a B minor, which is the 3 chord. So we've got G, A, B. So G, A minor, B minor. Need to lie here, need to leave. C again, which is the 4 chord. G and then E minor. Living in the dead of make-believe. You remember which step the E minor was? G, A, B, C, D, E. E minor is the 6th step. Saying I owe you. So that's an A minor. And in the key of G, that's our 2 chord, G, A minor. Then we're back to a C, which is the 4. Crooked as a crow, night on dawn. G and the grass in E minor, the lawn. So that's your minor 6. A minor, which is the 2, to C, which is the 4. Alright, so I'm going to take us through the top of that again. So, G's 1, C's 4, G's 1, E minor, 6. D, which is the 5, B minor's the 3, C, 4, G's 1, then E minor, minor 6. A minor, which is 2, then to C, which is 4, going on down, G, which is 1, E minor, 6, A minor, which is 2, C, which is 4. All right. Let's look at the chorus. My certainty is wild, and we right, so the chorus, my certainty is wild. It's got that lead in, that vocal lead in, over a D chord, which is the 5 chord in the key of G. My certainty is wild. And so the chorus really feels like it hits on the downbeat of that G chord, which is the 1. Again, we're hanging a lot on that tonic. Tonic is just another word for 1 chord. And then we go to C, which is your 4, to a D, which is your 4. So the vocal melody sits on top of my certainty is wise. G is the 1. That was C from 4 to D, which is 5. For you I am a child. G is 1. Even 4 and 4, which is the C. D, which is 5. You lay beside me, sleeping on a plane. G1. C, which is 4. D, which is 5. Alright, the thing that's fucking crazy about this song, I mean, if anybody has heard this tune before, let me know, or if you haven't, let me know. The crazy thing about this tune is that it's just so fucking simple. And, nice, thank you for those hearts and fires everybody's sending. So I'm assuming that means that you probably have heard of this tune before. The amazing thing about this song is that it is using some of the simplest scale steps that you can use in a major scale. It's a lot of 1 chords, a lot of 4 chords, and a lot of 5 chords. There's nothing here that bends the rules in any way. It's not like it's borrowing chords from other scales. It's really just sticking with the most common versions of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 chords within that scale. And to me, that's the most fascinating part about music, is just like, how are these iconic songs being built just using the same 6 more or less chords? The 7 chord doesn't get used all that much in folk music. The diminished 7. The 7th step is the diminished chord. It's more classical. Kind of flows into the 1, but those 6 chords. How the hell do we get new music all the time with these same 6 chords? And this song is one of those really amazing examples of a song that just uses very basic chords. So if you got any questions, let me know in the chat. It could be about anything, but if you've got questions about like scale steps, songwriting, anything like that, let me know, and we can jam on that for a little bit. I'll hang till about 10, and just kind of noodling. And if you got any questions, just let me know. Got the chords here pulled up. Simple, but I don't remember it all. Name on the line, last request. Pull the car over to find some rest. Saying I love you. Need to lie here, need to leave. Living in the dead or make believe. Saying I owe you. Crooked as a crow, gnawing on dawn. In the grass and the dirt on the lawn. Why do I leave you alone? My certainty is wild, breathing. For you I am a child, believing. You lay beside me, sleeping on a plane in the future. 333 Justin, play some blues. I wish I was well versed in blues. I don't know a ton of blues stuff. Super awesome to hear blues musicians rip, and when I am able to do something neat in some kind of bluesy fashion, I'm usually kind of like proud of myself, because I'm like, that's not really my wheelhouse, but I just love the way that it sounds. I'm kind of like sticking in the folk world. So if anybody's got any questions, let me know. I did want to talk about the way that using scale steps, it can help you transpose songs, which is a really cool thing about a cool benefit to using scale steps. So we assign numbers to chords. You kind of think of it almost as like algebra in a way, where it's just like, a G chord becomes a 1 chord, and an A minor chord becomes a 2 chord. So if we're talking about in the key of G, each chord that you play within that scale is going to have a number assigned to it. And what that does is it kind of makes it, well, not kind of, it makes it so that you can transpose it to any key. And so say we wanted to play this song in a different key, we could use the number system and find those different chords. So for example, if I wanted to play this up a whole step in the key of A, if I know my scale steps of the original song, I can just transpose those chords. So if I was in G, and G chord is the 1 chord, and I want to transpose it up to A, then A is now going to be the 1 chord. All right, and so if we are going to be going from, in the key of G, if we were going 1, 4, 1, 6, and in the key of A, I could go 1, 4, 1, 6 in the key of A, and that would be A, D, A, F sharp minor. So you can kind of hear it, it sort of sounds similar, but it's up. Name on the line, last request, pull the card to find some rest. Wanted to show you. All right, so your E chord would be your 5 chord in the key of A, whereas before we were playing that as a D because that was the 5 chord in the key of G. And this is it's a system that a lot of musicians use that helps them collaborate with other musicians, and it just allows you to change keys real quickly. And if you can communicate using scale numbers instead of chords, you can sort of float effortlessly through the keys. All right, got a question here. Aloha. Is there a strategy to use the system to find chords if they only tell you the root key? Does that make sense? Let me read that once more, and if you're still here, dude, and you have a way to rephrase that, let me know. Is there a strategy to use the system to find chords if they only tell you the root key, like the root chord? Is that what you mean? Like the first, like for example, if is there a strategy to use to find the chords if we knew, find what other chords you could play if we knew that we were in the key of G? Okay, cool. Yeah, there is. So there are a couple answers, and like they vary in terms of like how useful it might be for you hopping on right now. But if I could just give you a simple answer. Okay, so there's a mathematical answer. So scales are built off of a sequence of like. Okay, cool. Yeah. So he says no worries, any help is appreciated. So there's a system of what they call intervals, like spaces that you create a major scale with. All right. right? So it's like if we were to start on G, it would be up 2 frets. So you start on G, up 2 frets, up 2 frets, up 1 fret, up 2 frets, up 2, up 2, up 1. All right, so that's how you build a major scale. And it's a sequence that it's basically like the 2 fret jump, they call a whole step. The 1 fret jump, they call a half step. So really, in order to build any major scale, you start on any note at all, but we're saying G, and we go 2 whole steps. So that's 2 fret jumps. So there's the first one. We're in the first note. Here's the first jump. Here's the second jump. Then there's a half. And then there's a whole. And then there's 2 wholes. And then there's a half. All right? So you can think about it as whole, whole, half. And then there's a whole in the middle. And then another whole, whole, half. So it's symmetrical. Whole, whole, half. 1 whole step in the middle, and then whole, whole, half on the second half. So whole, whole, half, then a whole step, and then again a whole, whole, half. All right, so that's how you build a major scale. And then off of each of those notes, you can find chords. So the notes are G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, and G. All right, so the first step that you start on, the 4th step, and the 5th step. So 1, 4, and 5. Dude, those are going to be major chords. So this one would be a G major. So the question is, how do you find what other chords to choose from if you know your root note, if you know which key you're in? And so this is how I'm explaining this. So step 1. Build your major scale, kind of figure out what it is. And again, the easy answer is just look up online what chords are in the key of G major. But if you want to understand, that's like, you could do that right now. But if you want to understand like what you're going to find, how, this is blowing me away. I love it. Thanks. Yeah, dude, no worries. So if you look it up online, what are the chords in the key of G major, you'll just find it. But if you want to know like why those chords are the way that they are, this is that system. So step 1, build the major scale with the whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half, that symmetrical sequence of fret jumps. And then once you know those notes, and in the key of G, that's G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, and G. The chord that you'll build off the first step is going to be a major chord. So your 1 chord is going to be a G major. The chord that you build off your 4th step and your 5th step will also be major. So that, and this is true for any key. It doesn't matter if you're in G, C sharp, E, it doesn't matter. Your first chord is going to be a major chord. So in the key of G, it's G major. And then we go up this sequence to the 4th chord. That's a C. So that's going to be a C major. And then we've got a D, which is the 5 chord. That's also a major chord. Okay. That's what you meant, major, minor. And now, yes, now I'm putting chords on top of the scale. Yeah, that's right. Because, dude, was your question in the beginning, if you know which key you're in, how do you know which chords to choose? If I have that question right, then yeah, this is the process for knowing which chords to choose. So if I know I'm in the key of G, I build out my major scale underneath it, the G major scale, and then I know, okay, cool. So then I know that I can build a chord off of each step in the scale. And do you know the difference between a major chord and a minor chord? And if not, that's all good. Let me know in the chat there. You do? Okay, cool. So, yeah, so the chord that you build off of the first step, the 4th step, and the 5th step, so the 1, the 4, and the 5, those will be major chords. So in the key of G, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, that's G, C, and D. So those chords will be major chords. All the other ones are going to be minor chords. and the 7 chord is going to be a special kind of minor called a diminished, but let's not worry about that right now. So that means if you wanted to know which chords can I choose from if I'm playing in the key of G, you can choose from a G major, which is your 1, an A minor, which is 2, a B minor, which is your 3, a C major, which is your 4, a D major, which is your 5, a E minor, which is your 6, and then finally we have that 7 chord, which is a diminished, a special kind of minor, but again, we barely use that in folk rock music. And then you're back to 1. So again, that is G, A minor, B minor, C, D, E minor, F sharp diminished, and then 1. So to circle back, how do you know which chords to choose from? That's the process. That's the mathematics behind the process. Again, you could look it up online, which chords are in the key of G major, and you'd have it. But if you wanted to understand, like, why are those chords there, this is that process of finding out. And that means that you can choose any one of those chords, and they'll sound like they belong together in some capacity. They're family because they're in the same key. That's awesome. This is the best information I've ever received. I love it. I want to I want to screenshot that without turning off my phone. I won't, but screenshot it because I'm worried I will turn it off. Thank you for that feedback. That's really awesome. So that's the basics of how you choose chords in a chord progression, and it's up to you to choose which chords you want to do, and you use your ear. So just using any of those chords, like for example, in the Big Thief Certainty song, they use the G to the C, which is the 1 to the 4, the G, then to the E minor, which is the 6. Remember, we were saying the 1, the 4, and the 5 are major. Everything else is minor. So in the key of G, G is 1, major. C is 4, major. Back to G is 1, major. E is 6, so that's going to be minor. Then it goes to a D chord, which is the 5, so that's a major. Still I love you. Then it goes to a B minor, which is the 3, because it's not a 1 or a 4 or a 5, so that's got to be a minor. If you're going to follow the template. So, and of course, it bears mentioning, it's worth it to mention that if anybody tells you there are rules in, dude, you bought a badge. You are the best. That's the first badge anybody's ever bought. Thank you, dude. I really appreciate that. That's awesome. Wow. I'm humbled. Really appreciate that. So the thing that I was going to say is, like, these chord steps and which chords are minor, which chords are major, like, they are kind of like most common practices, I'll say. Like, over the hundreds of years, these are the things that happen the most frequently in music. And it's gotten to a place where it almost seems like a rule that you have to play these chords in this exact way. But listen, if anybody tells you that you're doing something wrong in music, or if it, like, you're breaking some kind of, like, fuck that. Like, we got into music because we did not want to be told what to do, or we didn't want to be a part of the herd or whatever. So whenever I'm talking about this theory stuff, if anybody kind of like caught the beginning end and then left, they might not catch this disclaimer. And it's an important disclaimer that music theory is not law. Like, it's not as if, like, the music police can come and bust you for breaking it. It's just that over the hundreds of years, people have used these same sort of pathways. It's kind of like, a path in the woods getting dug deep and worn smooth. It's just that so many people have taken these paths over and over again that it almost starts to seem like the rule. Some of the best songs came about by breaking music theory. I 100% agree. And, like, you got to follow your ear first and foremost. Like, if your ear leads you to something else that is not within the framework of like any kind of music theory, then you owe it to yourself, the muse, the world, the people who might receive your music. You owe it to them to say fuck all to the theory. Like, who cares? Just find what sounds good to your ear and follow it down that path. So that feels like a really important thing to mention at the tail end of all of this. However, theory can be a super useful thing that if you have a good grasp of it and it's sort of like in your tool belt that you can sort of access that information, it can really kind of like lead to some cool possibilities. And a lot of people wonder and worry that if they learn theory that they are going to kind of become a robot or lose their unique sparkle or whatever. And I certainly can respect that, but I don't believe that to be true. I think that as long as you stay in the right frame of mind, you have the ability to ignore rules. I mean, like, we know what traffic laws are, but we can choose to, run a red light or a stop sign if we wanted to, or whatever, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's up to you. And nice, thank you. Yeah, Raquel Murphy, let it inspire you but not restrict you. Yep. Yeah, thank you for being here, for sure. And so this is the type of stuff that I do in my one-on-one lessons, and if you're at all interested, I'm running a 40% off Valentine's Day sale. Yeah, I'm a sucker. I'm pulling my used car salesman shit. 40% off, everything must go. But yeah, I'm doing 4 packs of one-on-one lessons. They are 40% off. If you have any interest, just write 14 in the chat, and my the number 14 in the chat, and my internet robots will send you a DM with a link to some information and stuff. So if you're at all interested in working with me, if like you feel like you're stuck in a rut, or you need some inspiration, or you're kind of feeling like a jar that can't read its own label, like you don't know what your issue is and you feel like you need some outside perspective to help breathe some new life into your playing or your songwriting, one-on-one lessons is definitely an amazing way to go. So yeah, if you're interested in that, just type 14 into the chat, and I'll send you a link to that stuff. But thank you so much, everybody, for being here. And the Niho, or I'm sorry, THENIHO. I don't know how to pronounce that or whatever that is, but you got to get to a gig. But thank you for grabbing a badge, my first one, and I'm feeling honored to be hanging with you guys and walking alongside you in your guitar songwriter journeys. And I'm on my own journey myself, and it's an amazing journey, and it's better with folks alongside you. So thank you for being here, and I'll sign out now. All right, have a good one.